Okay, now we can start. Team leaders to follow instructions. Malti, you are on mute.
Sorry. Sorry. Okay, I'll start. Good evening, all the distinguished guests, organizers, and active learners. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. This is the event SOCH, that stands for Socio-Economic, Organizational, and Cultural Harmony. Here we are to ideate with G20 nations. This event been presented by Atmanirbhar Bharat Learning Platform with community outreach partner ACIC GIT Foundation. As India leads the presidency this year with the theme Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, One Earth, One Family, One Future, let's understand G20 with international professionals to gain momentum to this remarkable step. Now, I'm honored to present the profile of today's keynote speaker, Mr. KELVIS AMAYOTI, CEO and founder of ATHWATT. Mr. KELVIS AMAYOTI is the cross-sectoral lead for the ATHWATT mission portfolio in services for renewable energy and environment. The transverse operation model for the ATHWATT provides a broad portfolio of reactive and proactive support services encompassing all elements of energy, environment, people, process, and technology. ATHWATT is focused on being multi-sectoral team player in raising and improving clean energy access and integrate sustainable water management solutions for all. His objectives for ATHWATT are to compete for Sustainable Development Goal number 2, Zero Hunger, SDG 6, Clean Water and Sanitation, SDG 7, Affordable and Clean Energy, SDG 13, Climate Action, and SDG 15, Life on Land. As lead for the ATHWATT mission portfolio, his goal to drive portfolio change aligned to changing human needs. His responsibilities in this role include developing new service offers, and work with product teams, marketing, sales, and implementation teams to ensure flawless execution at region and country level. He brings to his position a well-established background in renewable energy, especially solar energy, and professional services in environmental physics. Prior to taking on leading ATHWATT, he managed Epicenter Africa's technical implementation team and quality control, where he worked for over 2 years. His experience in this business involved roles at the technical supervision level, developing and delivering technical services in solar PV systems, solar water pumping, and of water treatment systems, as well as responsibilities in project coordination, operation, and new product development. He was born and raised in Kenya, where he is committed to broaden and deepen the overall impact and support base for community wealth building strategies. He holds a degree in renewable energy and environmental physics from the Technical University of Mombasa in Kenya. He is a member of the Geothermal Association of Kenya, Association of Energy Professionals, Eastern Africa, and a student member at the American Institute of Chemical Engineers. After this brief about Mr. KELVIS, I welcome him to grace this event. Over to you, sir.
Thank you so much for the warm welcome. It's an honor that I'm here with you today so that we can get to idealize on the G20 countries for accelerating renewable energy access across the globe. So it's a great opportunity I was granted to be here with you guys today, and I really do appreciate it.
Thanks, Mr. KELVIS, for supporting us, and thanks for actually accepting our invitation on the 11th hour. Here, a short introduction I would like to give you on what exactly the project SOCH is. We, the team of Atmanirbhar Bharat Learning Platform, where 5 to 6 organizations across Indian states, we thought of, once India is going for a G20 presidency, why not to utilize this presidency and utilize this particular year to brainstorm, to actually speak on, to discuss on people, with the people across G20 nations and the professionals also, so that we can come to know about the practices in the sense of whatever the domain expertise these professionals have, or the people, those who are in connect of us across these G20 nations, they must come in, they share their practices as per the domain expertise. And what we will do, our experts, the Indian speakers, Indian policymakers, Indian experts, they too will join on the same, and we will interchange those practices and those exercises so that a better harmony and better understanding can go on, as in it can take forward all those learnings to all the G20 nations. That's what the project SOCH is. And I'm happy to see and actually happy to welcome you, because you are the first professional from the overseas. As if now this is the third week. On the inaugural day, of course, IPS Sanjeev sir, he was our chief guest for the inaugural session. Even Dean Academic of the ACIC is also was the part of the guest speaker during that. The very first week, Dr. Gayatri Madam was there. She delivered her expertise on the platform. Today you are here and you are the part of overseas countries, that is G20. So I welcome you all from my team members, from the Roots to Bloom, from Atmanirbhar Bharat Learning Platform, and from all the officials and students of ACIC GIT University, Odisha, those who will be the learning partners with us, and they are also the community outreach partners. So all the students, those who are here, all those who have joined here, they all are the students from ACIC GIT University, Odisha. As you are the expert into the renewable energy, and very first thing I would like to know how this renewable energy is there in your country, or what are the positioning of the renewable energy resources in your country and across Africa also. And I will appreciate if you switch on your video for that.
Thank you so much for the introduction. I'll have to mention that renewable energy is one critical area that a lot of countries are looking into expanding, and the transition to clean energy is actually one of the core objectives for us in Kenya. And just before I can mention something about whatever capacity we have and whatever we have in place for renewable energy in Kenya, I'll have to mention whatever we do have for across Africa. For the last 2 decades, only 2% of global renewable energy investment was able to be tapped into African continent. And you'll realize that only a few countries within the continent were able to access this 2% of the global renewable energy investment. So we can realize there is a huge gap in between whatever is promised for clean energy transition as compared to whatever is being delivered across Africa. Now, energy transition is one of the most promising in the industry. That we are not only focusing on renewable energy for any other reason other than reducing our carbon footprints from all the countries that are looking forward to scaling this up. In Kenya, we have three main renewable energy sources that we are tapping into. And I would want to mention that Kenya is one of the most, one of the country that produces a great capacity of geothermal energy with a capacity of about 863 megawatts, which ranks at seven position globally in geothermal energy production. So Kenya is a country that has great potential for the geothermal, and we are also tapping more into the solar energy and wind. But as it stands, as at the year 2023, geothermal is the one that is taking lead in accelerating renewable energy transition. We also have hydro, which is doing good. But when we mention clean energy, then definitely we are more focused on scaling up our geothermal industry to achieve the main core objective.
Okay, like if I narrate this thing in terms of India, what India exactly is doing in terms of renewable energy, we categorize in solar energy, wind energy, bioenergy, smaller hydro projects, or even the hybrid projects. These renewable energies actually in India, as per the government nomenclature, we categorize all the renewable energy into these uh, 6 segments or 5 segments, I must say. And if I take this year, that is 2023, and as per the target plan of India or as per the installed volume by Indian country, uh, India has targeted for solar energy that is 100 gigawatt, which is to be installed within Indian territory. And up to now, we have achieved somewhere around 49 gigawatt of this. If I go with the wind energy, India has targeted for 60 gigawatt, and we have achieved to install 40.08 gigawatt into this. Coming to bioenergy, it actually includes bioenergy also and waste to the energy also. So we have targeted some say 10 gigawatt, and I must appreciate country India for this, that we have achieved more than this. That is, we have actually installed 10.61 gigawatt of production. Small hydro projects, we are targeting for 5 gigawatt as of now, and we have achieved somewhere around 4.84. So very much close to the target. Hybrid, of course, still not working. It's not working in India. And in total, if I give you a narration how India is positioned as per the renewable energies, we have targeted somewhere around 175 gigawatts installation, and we have achieved 104 gigawatts on that. So that's the narrative of India per se the uh, for the positioning of renewable energy and what we as a country or our policy makers are looking forward for, or what we have targeted. My very next question, of course, to you. Uh, we all know these segments, we all know these parts and uh, portions of the renewable energies. Since beginning, since childhood, I must say, since class third to the post graduation or the PhDs, we keep on narrating about renewable energy. We keep talking about renewable energy. We keep talking about carbon prints. We keep talking about across domains, across meetings, across global meetings, global environments. We keep talking about these things. But what are those programs, or how Kenya per se, or South Africa or African continent per se? Pradeep, you have gone on mute. Yeah. So how Kenya is doing, what the practices they are following to create awareness towards renewable energy, and what African countries are doing to create awareness for this renewable energy.
So much. I will also mention that yes, we do talk a lot of what we need to do, how we need to do it, and we give ourselves timelines on of when we are supposed to do, or we are supposed to expand the renewable energy growth and transition. But you'll realize we have a number of factors that draw us back, that weigh us back whenever we are trying to actually make a step or make a move in transiting for renewable energy. Because fossil fuel is highly subsidized, about 12 times higher than whatever subsidies are there for renewable energy. So in as much as we'll be talking about how we need to do things, how we need to do things differently, unless how we are going to balance in between the subsidies that we do provide for renewables in comparison to what is being put in place for fossil fuels. We have, I would want to say for Kenya and for myself, I will mention what I think could be the most appropriate ways forward, probably. Whatever measures that may be put in place to actually change the narrative in whatever we at the moment. So first of all, there's one more critical look at. We need to look at the tariffs that we put in place for renewables. We need to look at both the global energy transition factors that hinder the growth of renewables. We have environmental factors, we have social factors, and we have economic. So unless we work out these main three, it will be quite a challenge getting the target, the goal, the objectives we do have in scaling up renewables from across different countries, in Africa, in Kenya, probably in India for you guys. So I would want to mention that if we are looking into creating awareness for renewable energy growth, we'll have to make sure that it's more inclusive. We get to understand whatever demand is there from different segments, from different aspects across all the parties. That I'll have to mention the consumers, both from marginalized communities. So we'll have to ensure inclusion for whatever awareness we will be creating for renewable energies. And to achieve that inclusion in accelerating renewables, we'll need, first of all, understand we need to do accessibility audits. So, and if we manage to do accessibility audits for renewables and for the growth of clean energy across any country, that will be the only addition to whatever measures we need to put in place to actually ensure that we can capitalize on the transition to renewables. So accessibility audits will be critical in creating awareness. Creating awareness only without inclusion, I wouldn't advise for. So we need to do more of accessibility surveys to get the demand from the ground.
Yeah, good to know that the note on this thing, accessibility audit. Can you narrate on what exactly this accessibility audit is focusing for our students?
Yes. So accessibility audits, these are audits that are done to different regions if you wanted to scale up a renewable energy project, first of all, you'll have to identify a perfect spot in relation to whatever type of renewable you're planning to implement. If be it hydro, if you're hydro, first of all, you will have to identify the location. And how we do the accessibility audits, it's you get to engage all the parties on the ground, to get to understand the social impact of the project itself at first. So what accessibility audits do give you, they give you a brief overview of whatever the people expect, whatever their demand is, whatever capacity they have in relation to whatever you are about to give as the data solution. So it's a wide area. Accessibility audits, it's a wide area, but in generally I'll have to brief it. It only gives an overview or a better understanding of whatever engagement you have in relation to the people you're trying to actually provide the solutions for.
Okay, in India, what we usually do, just to narrate our story, how we are doing or what we are doing whenever we are talking about creating awareness towards a renewable energy. To go and see how India is doing or what the practices India is following, we actually have in place some of the institutions for creating capacity building across the people, across the sectors which are actually covering the renewable energies. We are inviting students actually there, or we are inviting interns to actually work on. And in turn, these students and interns, what they are doing is they are going uh, in around the pockets of all those places where we are actually or our projects are working, and trying to make people to understand how necessary these renewable energies are first, and what all those provisions are there because of which government is actually planning to work for those renewable energies, what can be the outcome of those renewable energies. And of course, it's not only outcome, they are talking about how beneficial is renewable energy for these people also. So that's what a National Institute of Solar Energy or National Institute of Wind Energy is doing. Even what we are doing is we are celebrating some of the uh, programs in India, like Global Wind Day celebrations of valedictory sessions for Vayu Mitra or valedictory sessions for Pavan Mitra. Likewise, we are celebrating so that people should get aware about these programs and they should also join in. So that's what the Indian practice. Now coming to the government plans. See, you have informed us that there will be a subsidized segment on the renewable energy, or there will be a, incentives being given by governments to those renewable energy sectors or those plans or those projects. Can you narrate some of government plans or initiatives which are there in Kenya and across Africa, which is having a better outcome or outreach?
Yes, thank you. Now, for Kenya as a country, I wouldn't want to mention that we have the government has a solid plan that is looking upon to ensuring that it's creating awareness or it's reaching out to growing the renewables. In Kenya, that's not the case. Private firms are the ones that are campaigning more for this as compared to the government. So we are getting little support from the government in scaling up renewable energy projects, of which they should be doing, yes, but they don't do it as much as we do expect them to. So private firms are at the core to scaling up renewables in Kenya. They only do engage the government, yes, but we don't have that much support from the government. And you'll realize that this is just one of the barriers that is limiting the acceleration of renewable energy growth in Kenya. And I believe this is a common case for any other country in Africa that is still not tapping yet into its full potential in renewable energy.
Okay. So let me narrate you some of the Indian government programs here actually. You might be aware of that India has taken a pattern to actually form an international solar alliances where we are inviting all those countries, those who are having a good weather, or those who are actually placed in southern part of the world, where we can have a better count of sunlight and sun rays, so that uh, we can actually build up a system where all these countries can come in and come up and share their practices, and of course share the capacity building across these nations for making solar energy into a higher form of renewable energy. India do focus on national solar mission too. We have developed some 8 types of solar parks in India, but this is the place, or this is the sector where we are focusing more. But there are certain impediments into this, but still India is focusing on. India is a country where you will find lots many temples, and temples are having huge land, or across the huge land we have these temples. The bases of these temples are huge. So what we did is we tried to utilize the temple tops as a rooftop scheme. India do speak on for rooftop schemes for grid connections, even for online also. India do talk for solar plant schemes in rural areas. And there is a one program for all the villagers or the farmers called as Kusum, where the subsidized or incentivized form of renewable energies actually being given to all the farmers, and they can opt for those schemes, and by that they can get the benefit out of those. Even if I give you the narrative of how the CSR is supporting to this particular renewable energy, the last year spent, that is last year I'm the sense of in 2021, the spent on CSR for renewable energy was 869 lakh rupees. And coming to the year 2022, the very past year, the projected sanction was 2.30 crores, but the projected disbursement for this was 10.42 crore rupees. So more and more countries are actually supporting, more and more corporates are actually supporting nowadays for coming and supporting to this renewable energy or the resources of the renewable energy. So that's how India is planning for. India is actually focusing on it. Now coming to
Yeah, I'll have to mention something.
yeah, please.
Yeah, so in Kenya we do have private farms where we do formulate associations for different sets of renewable energy sources. Like for instance, we do have the Geothermal Association of Kenya, which brings all the related expertise and brings the government in to ensuring that the geothermal industry is growing, and we have policies put in place for both investors, where we are able to actually check if we can do special policies and maybe tariffs, just to tap into whatever investments we can get through for the geothermal industry. So we also have different associations that focus on relevant fields. Like we have we have a special renewable association in Kenya that brings together all the professionals in the renewable energy mix, where we also do formulate policies. We also have one energy and petroleum regulatory authority, which creates balance in between fossils and the renewables, and which in turn is able to reach out to consumers, all the consumers, get to involve them in public participation, to get to understand whatever electricity demands they have and how to build them, just to get to understand how best to get an approach to growing the industry in Kenya. So we have the specific individual associations that deal with relevant and specific sectors within the energy mix. But for the government, it has little interactions with this. It has not done much, but we are pulling through.
Yeah, that's what. Even in India, we go for triple P, that is public-private partnership. So that is how things are working in India also, and even in renewable energy also, we are following the same structure. Good to know that how the individual partners or individual partners participation is there in Kenya and of course African countries. My very next question is, we know this is a sector where we require more professionals to work in and support on. But how really this renewable energy sector is, this can generate the employment, or this can create the income per se for larger audience? How it is in your area or in your place, in your country?
Renewable energy will actually create employment, is creating already employment, and will create employment in the near future. More employment, of course, employment for renewable energy transition will outweigh whatever employment will be lost while moving away from the fossil or maybe the traditional means of powering our ecosystems. So in as much as we'll be losing employment for the other side of the fossils, we'll be gaining more into the renewable space. We'll have to, employment is created, of course, for all the sectors. I'd say in Kenya and in Africa, solar is one of the main renewable aspect that is really creating a lot of employment. We have a lot of technicians being trained in the solar industry space, which is a wide market, has a wide market in Africa, in Kenya. And it's quite easier to actually train the personnel in this sector, get to have them doing the actual thing on ground. And this is a positive thing. It's improving livelihoods. And we really do appreciate support from all the partners who do support for green and renewable energy transition. So employment will be created there, yes, and is being created already.
Okay.
Just whatever we'll need to look now into the future, it will be how best to capitalize, how best to train our human resource, and capacity building and upskilling of in our education systems. Once we have this in place, then trust me, employment will be there, and it will surpass and outweigh whatever employment will be lost as we transit from fossil fuels to renewable and clean energy.
Yeah. Just connecting to these dots, how India is doing for creating the employment per se for in the space of renewable energy. We invite certain fellowships. These fellowships are through the institutions which I have of course narrated, that National Institute of Solar Energy or National Institute of Wind Energy. The graduates and the postgraduates and even the doctors, that is PhD degrees, we invite students to actually go for the fellowship under these programs. This can be for the graduates, this can be for the postgraduates, and even for the research scholars too. The second leg where we are actually tapping in, or we are asking students to come in and support is or learn on, that is intensive schemes, 3 months to 6 months to 1 year of schemes are there. But one thing is there, once I am talking about renewable energy, it requires a great technical expertise. and it will not cover, it cannot be covered in a day or two or in a 3 months of span. So what we are doing is a minimum 1 year of fellowship or minimum 1 year of internship will actually enable these students and these learners to hone the skill what is required under the renewable energies. Next to this is just to upskill the rural people or just to train the people or making the people to get on the skill development. Under the skill development programs, we do certain programs which are the certificate programs. That is what we are in India. What we are doing is we are inviting the learners as an Surya Mitra or Vayu Mitra. Surya is sun and Vayu is wind, and Mitra is friend. So we are inviting students to learn on to get on the skill, of course, under the skill development programs to become a Surya Mitras and Vayu Mitras. And these programs, they are both in terms of online and offline also. So likewise, we are building up our people to go on for renewable energies, and these do generate the uh, income opportunities also, and these do generate the employment to post these fellowships or post these internship programs or likewise. Good to know how.
I can mention something.
Yeah, please.
For my company, for ATHWATT, how we are trying to campaign for employment creation in the renewable energy space. This is how we do it. For all the for any commissioning of any project, we do engage a number of local operators who we do train. So just aside from training technicians on how to do the installations, we also look into training local operators for all the projects we do across Kenya and across the Eastern African community. We do train local operators just to give them the basis of how our systems do work, any of our systems do work, so that if they want to expand more on upskilling, whatever we do provide for them, it gives them a chance to. So it could be a good approach as well for any farms, any companies that are doing this renewable clean energy projects. When they are doing commissioning, they should engage local operators, upskill them, empower them, just get to have them at a whole different level. So that's how we try to do it.
Okay. Mr. KELVIS, I appreciate if you switch on your video so that we can have the pic also during sessions, because our students will be having a pics too, or they will be taking the pictures during this discussion. Once we are into the renewable energy, the area is very gray, I must say. Still, so many people are not aware about the occasions, incidents, and happenings in this particular sector. I would like to know from your end, what is the biggest impediment or biggest struggle in this renewable energy sector?
Thank you. We have a lot of challenges in scaling up renewable energy projects. One of the challenges we do have, which is so common, is we have the policies, the government policies that we have in place in each of our countries. I want to say for Kenya, yes, but each country has its policies, which will either hinder or will either try to improve the quality of whatever services are being provided for the renewable energy space. So we have policies that do hinder the growth and the creation for renewable energy.
So like in India, if I say we are targeting to initiate or to float so many parks, solar parks across Indian states, but there are certain struggles coming in terms of actually placing those or taking on the places first, making them to actually go for solar parks, because for solar parks we require a huge area. So like in such terms, there are so much struggles coming in just to develop a solar park. we required so many things to come work in, so many people to work in, so many policies to actually develop in, or of course redesign those policies so that these solar parks can be enabled. So likewise, how it is in Kenya and South Africa? Are is policies supporting to those things, or again you need to redesign those policies as per the requirements? How it is?
I think they should be supporting, yes, but they are not doing it as much as we do expect. They are not doing it to whatever level that is desired. So we have also uneven distribution of resources, which is another bigger challenge in accelerating renewable energy growth. We have special I can say sometimes the government may focus on only addressing a given segment of the country and end up forgetting the other marginalized communities who actually in turn at the end of the day will have to measure. And if we are looking into really scaling up renewable growth, we'll need to make sure we have even distribution of resources. So that's another challenge, which is common, but it's not being looked into actually with the much of seriousness it deserves. And you'll realize the initial investment for all renewable energy projects is actually high. So with a high initial investment costs in renewables, it becomes a barrier. So we need to subsidize. So it's a challenge, yes, but the solution to that challenge will be having subsidies for the same, just to cut down the initial investment costs for renewables in Kenya, across Africa, and across any other country.
Okay. Mr. KELVIS, if I would like to know, as per the percentage wise, about Kenya first, just give me a narrative whom you will place top, which actually energy you will place top, then which will be the second, or in the ordinal, which will be third, fourth, for solar, wind, bioenergy, or hydro. Out of these four, which one will be the on top, as per se your country is focusing for?
I didn't get you clearly. You can you?
Yeah. What I am asking is,
Yeah.
just as per the ordinal or as per the preference given by your in your country, what is the preference for the renewable energy, for solar, wind, bioenergy, or small or hydro projects? How it is?
I would say
Focus towards
solar.
more solar or towards hydro?
I would say solar. Solar is the main.
Okay, solar. Okay. And what about hydro and small hydro
solar
projects?
Followed by geothermal.
What about small hydro projects or hydro plants?
Small hydro plants were a critical point of view back then, but as of today, we are not looking much into small hydro. Instead, we are trying to develop another different aspect of pumped hydro. We have pumped hydro storage. I don't know if you know about it. We have pumped hydro storage.
For farmers who use standalone pumps for farming and all.
Yeah.
In India, we keep on using these standalone pumps for the farming.
Okay.
So that's what we are practicing here too.
So for Kenya, small hydro, we are not looking more into the small hydro. We are majorly focusing on solar, on geothermal, wind, and we are trying to develop more on pumped storage hydro.
Pump storage hydro.
Yeah, pumped storage hydro is the greatest battery, is the biggest battery for renewable energy storage. So I don't know if you're of pumped hydro storage, maybe I can just briefly mention if
Yeah,
you allow for.
please mention it, how it is and what exactly it is.
So unlike the ordinary hydropower plants, pumped storage hydro is a more alike but a different model where we have two basins at different heights where we do pump water from the lowest point and store it to a higher elevated point. Then once we can pump this water now during the day using the other means of renewables, solar or either wind. So we capitalize more on pumping the water throughout the day using solar and wind. We store the water to a higher height or a higher elevation. So once we are able to store that water throughout the day, we are able now to convert it back again. Now the water is stored in more like a dam.
Yeah, got it.
So at night, we are able to capitalize now on tapping into that water we are able to store just with the same mechanism as hydropower plants. It's the same mechanism, yes,
using
but pumped hydro, we do pump water.
Pumping the water up first and then utilizing as the model of the hydro plants or the dams are working for.
Yeah, so that we can generate using the same mechanism as hydropower plants when we have emergency grid demands. So pumped hydro is more flexible. It's more flexible and it's actually able to come in whenever we have emergency demands from the grid. So it's a good idea. It's a good project that may be looked into in the near future, maybe be scaled up, and it will transit it with more advantages as compared to just the traditional or the already existing hydropower plants with the same mechanism. Yes.
Yeah. Now we are discussing under the project SOCH and we are talking about the G20 nations. So my very next question is how G20 nations can support themselves on renewable energies. How these 20 nations or unions, of course, within the G20, how they can support on for building up or actually scaling up for the energies, or to decrease the carbon print, what they should do or how they can do. Your suggestions or your views on that?
So, thank you. I believe every country has its potential across different renewable energy sources where they can be able to tap into themselves. But the best approach they would do for this, if they want to stand for themselves as nations, they need to actually capitalize and invest more on research and development. That's the one thing that comes into place whenever you are thinking of expanding as a country with your internal resources. So research and development will be a critical point of view. Otherwise, I believe every country has its own potential. Like for us, geothermal, we do have the greatest potential in Africa, and we are trying the best we can to tap into it as a country. With less support, yes, with support, but less support, just focusing on utilizing the human resource we have in place. So research and development is really critical.
Yeah. Please carry on.
So other than research and development, I would say every country has a potential to subsidize whatever they are really keen into addressing. So we can have a model, put in place a model where we can be able to support a given project, a given renewable energy project, where we can be able to draw revenue from. So the government could provide all the resources, set up a given scheme. Maybe I would speak personally from point of experience, just a segment of how solar PV can work out and actually get to generate revenue. So we have marginalized communities across different countries, and I'd speak for Kenya. So what could be done is the government could come into place, put maybe a off-grid, mini-grid system in a given marginalized community, be able to provide electricity for that given area where they'll be able to generate revenue. In turn, they'll be able to expand to a different section, a different region within the same country. And these are just some of the approaches that we really need to look into. Otherwise, not many countries are doing this, but it could be a good approach to actually scaling up renewables.
Good to know those pointers, Mr. KELVIS. Yes, of course, I do agree on that. That we should think for a marginalized community first, because they are the people, those who are looking for the support using this renewable energy first.
Yeah.
Of course, the privileged people do have those support system for themselves, and they do have the money to at least keep on supporting for those requirements. My very last question to you, then I will give the floor to my volunteers. They will ask you as per their QA and of course as per the discussions which we have today. What are your key suggestions to all our learners? Not only for renewable energy, as an individual per se also, what is your suggestion?
As an individual, as a professional in the renewable energy space, I'm looking keen into addressing 4 SDGs, as mentioned earlier from my profile. One of them is SDG number 2. I'm focusing on growing and scaling up innovative solutions that will be able to look into zero hunger. That's the first objective I'm looking into as an individual. The second will be clean water and sanitation. It's big and it's a wide segment where every country, every individual, you guys, you need to look into how best you're able to make sure you provide clean water for your communities, for your country. Sanitation, check into sanitation. We have safety audits for accelerating equity in resources mobilization in different countries, different segments, different regions. So there is a lot inbound for water and sanitation. So as an individual, yes, I'm really passionate about addressing a number of challenges in the water sector and sanitation. And the most important is the one we are talking about now, affordable power and clean energy. That's a whole wide topic which we've been discussing all through. And then we have life on land, which I'm focusing on as an environmentalist. It's a wider aspect which incorporates all the renewables. So renewables and environment come in hand. The only reason as to why we mention it as clean energy is because we have the environmental aspect in it. So we have the environmental aspect, life on land, and lastly is I'll have to mention that as a renewable energy engineer, I'm looking into actually innovating a number of solutions just to keep us on pace and accelerate renewable energy growth.
Thanks, KELVIS. Thanks
And
for these. Thanks for
I'll have to say just something lastly. And
Yes,
I'll have to
please.
say that I'm open to any engagements with you guys, with the entire team at personal levels. You can be able to reach out to me. Maybe we can discuss something in depth, because I'm dealing in a wide range of aspects in both the renewable energy sector, environmental sector. So we can engage at personal levels just to have in-depth understanding of different points in all these sectors. So I'm open to any engagements. Feel free to reach out at your time. We can always schedule for something.
Thanks, Mr. KELVIS. Students, over to you, the team leaders, to present certificate of gratitude for thanking Mr. KELVIS to support us on during this project SOCH. Any other queries, QAs, you can write on. You can write on the chat box, team leaders, and Brajesh, over to you.
Yeah, thank you so much. I feel honored and privileged to get this opportunity to propose a vote of thanks on the space program. I would like to thank all the honorable delegates who blessed us with presence. I am also very much thankful to KELVIS OKANGO AMAYOTI sir for his wonderful speech. You motivated the audience by your speech, sir. Like the energy which you were discussing is very helpful to the audience for extra knowledge of our generation, and the awareness you have shared about renewable energy for the growth of clean energy. I am very much thankful to the organizer, Roots to Bloom, and Atmanirbhar, ACIC GIT University. And at last, I want to thank all my audience for joining this event and making it successfully.
Ananya Rai mentioned that, sir, I have been working on renewable energy resources for past few months, and major concern that she is the supply, as it is influenced by various social and environmental factors. What are the different approaches that are used over there to overcome this? Ananya, I would appreciate if you switch on your video first and then ask your question directly to our speaker. Yeah.
Hello, sir. Am I audible?
Yeah, you are.
Good evening, sir. I have been working on renewable energy sources for past few months, and during that, I have gone through several articles as well. And the major factor that I have found is the supply. As you said, that different factors influence the productivity. For example, social, environmental, like the climate will keep changing. Solar energy will not be at max for like throughout the day or throughout the year. So, what are the different approaches that are being used over there to overcome this, or like that we can also adapt?
Thank you so much. I believe I got you right. You are talking about whatever approaches should be put in place to solving whatever challenges we do have, like the social, the environmental, and the economical aspect. Is that right? So I'll mention about the environmental aspect. So we have challenges in scaling up renewables, especially because we are looking into moving away from fossil fuels, which have greater impacts into the environment, the greenhouse gas effects, increasing the carbon footprints. So whenever we are coming up with renewable energy projects, we normally do environmental assessment audits. So to cut for the challenge on the environmental sector, we do have special activities we do, environmental aspects, environmental audits, which will also be able to give you a given state of an environment where you're planning to set a renewable energy. project, get to understand how the environment is set, how best are you going to go about whatever project you have. So for environmental side, we do have the environmental assessment audits, the environmental audits as well, and baseline surveys, which generally equip any project before it can kick off at any given point in time. Then I'll mention for the social impact across this sector. I mentioned earlier on about accessibility audits. So generally, accessibility audits are able to cater for the social impact for any renewable energy project. We can catch up later on. I can talk to you more about accessibility audits, how they are done, whatever checklist that is there for accessibility audits, which we normally do look in place just to make sure whatever renewable energy project we are doing at any given point in time or at any given area or environment, we're able to access everyone, every individual, get to understand their needs, get to understand their concerns. So yes, we do accessibility audits for all renewable energy projects. And that surely looks into the social impact bit of it. Then for the economical section bit of it, we do market analysis. I wouldn't say much more about the market analysis in the economics of renewable projects, but we normally do check the economic benefits as compared to whatever returns we do expect for that project. So there are challenges, yes, but there is a way we normally do handle them. There are special engagements we do make. I can share with you guys anytime you have. We can always set a given specific engagements about each of these. So I was just to mention them, and probably for anyone who is interested in getting to learn more about them, always schedule for a day. Probably we get to discuss the given specific segments if we have time.
Yeah, just to add on what Mr. KELVIS is saying. See, once we are going for auditing, both the audits, or the need assessment theory, which across India for all the projects which we keep on doing. Before going for any of the audit, we need to upskill ourselves first, learn on the nomenclature, learn all the subjects first, learn on the traditions of the subject. Actually, if we are experienced, or if we are actually learned with these terminology requirements, then only we can actually keep on addressing those social norms or the geographical norms or the environmental norms or even the financial norms related to RE. So it's not only about the RE only, because RE is a sector which is not been where we are not trained, or only the limited number of people are being trained. If you go and take on the data per se for the government officials, those who are working in RE, very few number of people across India in this country, which is having 1.30 crores, okay, people, but still very few people are working in this RE sector. So why very less number of people are in this domain? Because we don't have larger base or larger domain people, those who are working in RE. So you need to understand about RE first, as per the aspects, as per the nomenclature, as per the understandings of RE. Then we can address on those issues. And if we are going to address those issues, you need to frame out those audits. You need to keep on doing those audits first, and then actually go for a need assessment for those planned projects or commissioned or going to be commissioned projects first. Then I think you might be addressing those things. There is one question given by Gargi. Sir, geothermal energy is largely dependent upon hot springs. isn't there a chance of it getting depleted? What should we do, or how should we approach towards it? Mr. KELVIS, can you answer on this? For geothermal energy using the springs, hot springs. I can give a connected dot to this actually. The way you go for an audit is the answer to this. If you get the environmental audit of the place, behavioral audit of the people, behavioral aspects of the people is actually addressing the environmental audit of this particular local area. In India, we have few places where these hot springs are, but what we are doing in these particular areas is exactly actually directly affecting these hot springs. So you need to inform the people. You need to actually make people aware about the usefulness of these hot springs. If we keep on narrating, if we keep on talking about the uses of our resources, then only people will come to know that okay, the resource is having this particular aspect, the financial aspect, the biological aspect, social aspect, and because of that, they will actually maintain that particular resources. Until unless we are not going to tell the people about the advantage.
Sir, you are on.
Sir,
I was to answer about the geothermal energy, where a question was asked if whether the hot springs could get depleted over time. Allow me just to answer for that.
sir, please unmute yourself, sir.
Pradeep, sir.
Okay. Okay, so for geothermal,
Anything from your end?
no, I was to give feed for the question asked about the geothermal energy. So I wanted to explain more about it.
Yeah, please.
So yes, the hot springs could, whatever energy we do have for the hot springs could get depleted over time, yes. But that's why I mentioned earlier on, we have research and development where we are trying to address and we do identify. That's what each and every one of us, the youths, we need to look into. Let us look into the gaps. So for the geothermal energy, we have a technology. I don't know if you guys know about it. It's called molten salt reactors.
No, of course not.
So we have molten salt reactors, which is a new technology that is focusing on doing enhanced geothermal systems. So in any case, we have depletion of whatever heat we have on the ground for geothermal energy. We are able to come into with molten salt reactors. It's a new technology. It's work underway. We are working with an American company. We are trying to just try and develop a system, a model out of it, so that in the near future, will not worry about depleting the heat energy we have on the ground surface, but in turn, we'll be able to use molten salt reactors to be able to tap into the same geothermal wells even after depletion. So the critical point here is research and development. And for that specific question, yes, we have a technology in place. We are working on it. Personally, I've been working on it with the company since 2020, but it's work on progress, just to have us sustainably tapping into the geothermal space.
So got it. We require a research to work on. We require a support from the government or from the other private organizations, and we require a technology to support those geothermal resources. So it requires an ecosystem to work in to support those renewable energy. Okay, any other questions from anyone? Thanks,
Yes,
KELVIS.
I have
Yeah,
one more
please.
question, sir. Just last question. Sir, what's your point of view on dependency on renewable sources, like till 100%? Will it be cost effective or not?
I didn't get you clearly.
Am I audible, sir?
Yeah.
Like our 100% dependency on the renewable sources, will it be a cost effective approach or not, sir?
She's
I
asking
will
for.
say,
I think you got it, Kelvis. You got it.
go ahead.
Yeah, please.
She's asking if we can solely depend 100% on renewables.
And is
Yes,
it a cost-effective approach to go for a renewable energy only?
We cannot go for renewable energy only. We have to incorporate all the other bits of energy. But I would say we can give renewable energy about 70%, and then the other 30% could be shared among the other sources of energy. We cannot confidently go 100% on renewables because it will be a challenge handling and tackling a number of energy needs we do have. So we can focus more on maybe getting to 70% or 80% of renewables. Then the other 20 could be shared equally among the other sources of sources of energy, not just specifically renewables. So we'll need to incorporate the other bits of energy as well, just to get us overhead. But 100% wholly and solely on renewables, that's a no.
So
thank you, sir.
I think you got it, Ananya. Standalone, if we go for only the renewable energies, there will be if and buts. We all are aware how the if and buts comes in our country itself. If a power grid fails in, the whole country will stand in. Then what to do? That is why he is saying. Okay, so focus more on renewable energy for 70 to 80%, but 20% always as standby mechanisms should be there. Those conventional resources shall be in place so that we can utilize on, and our people, our youngsters shall do know about the past too. Okay, yeah, I must say on this. Thanks, Kelvis. Thanks to Ananya. Thanks to Pujesh. Thanks to Malti. Thanks to all the listeners here and learners. It was good to actually hear in the space of renewable energy, a very exciting and actually interactive mode of learning today's session was. I'm happy that our students might have got to know certain new things out of this discussion. And thanks to our community partner ACIC, GIT University Foundation, for inviting all these students. And thank you to my team members, Roots to Bloom, and of course, Apngo Bharat Learning Page. Good day to you all. Enjoy your weekend. Enjoy your good night. Okay, and with a fresh start for the first week, we will be starting again a project SOCH with different set of course, professionals and different set of themes and different set of people. So thank you all. I request you all to switch on your videos first so that we can have a pictures. I request my team member, of course, Sanmitra and others, team leaders to do take screenshot of this. Thank you. Once it's been done, please let us know so that we can end up for the day. And guys, you have any queries, do write it on the WhatsApp. Muskan, Sneha, Sanmitra, Pooja, Satyajit, Mahima, Megha, Acharya. Anyone left out? Okay. So please. Done from my end. Okay, still. Thank you, guys. Thank you on this. Abhishek, you are late from my end. Let me take from other team leaders. They need to take on the screenshots, those who are available. Thank you, Kelvis. from my end, I am switching off for the day. Good night. Enjoy your
Thank you so
weekends
much.
and enjoy the forthcoming week. So, namaskar and jai hind to all of you.
Thank you, sir.